great thing about being at the World Health Organization was that it really opened my eyes to the world. And this was my political education and how the world actually operated. Because there, too, at 9:30 in the morning, there was a coffee break. 200 people would go upstairs to the top floor. I mean, you're looking out at the Jura Mountains on one side and Lake Geneva on the other. And people were coming in from all over the world. And you'd be sitting at these long tables. You never knew who you were going to sit beside. But you would hear them talking like, I've just come out of India, I'm doing this project, blah, blah, blah. And you could just be a sponge. And so I had a few years of listening to people talking about doing change projects in various parts of the world. Plus, we got to a staff to sit in on the big councils, the international councils that were held. So we could sit up at the back and listen in. And the themes are practically the same today. Women and children's health. Talking about we need to protect women and children, but did they do much about it? Some did, but most, I don't think, did much. Because women and children are in the same situation now that they've pretty much always been. It's better, much, much better. But it could be much, much, much better than it is today. So I learned about that. I also learned that the UN was controlled by the Russians and the Americans. I didn't know anything about that. And I wasn't American. Oh, that was the other thing. Because I wasn't American, I was Canadian. And they had quotas on the numbers of people from each country. So they didn't have their quota filled on Canadians. And that's partially how I got that job. But I learned a ton. And, it's not that I was really great at what I was doing. I was called a technical officer. My job was to write grants and proposals and stuff. I wasn't great at that. What I was great at was observing and learning. And that's what I did. I was deeply curious about what the heck was going on and how all these different nationalities worked.
And the interplay between them, right?
And the interplay between them. And also how bureaucracy takes hold and stays fixed. Like a lot of those people that were in the Home Office in Geneva got their jobs in the early 50s when the World Health Organization was formed, and the International Labour Organization, and the refugee, and all of them. There were many of them in Geneva, and they got used to the salaries and living in Switzerland, and they weren't going anywhere. And also the bureaucracy, I'd never really come across such a big bureaucracy. So that was an eye-opener too. The other thing I found fascinating was when Americans came in to do presentations or whatever, and we were allowed to go in and hear what they were talking about, I was struck by how, well, first of all, they were very enthusiastic. They felt they had all the answers, lacking in humility, didn't ask a whole lot of questions, just kind of had the attitude, we're here to tell you how to do it. And it struck me, I didn't know a whole lot of Americans. I don't think I knew any. Oh, I knew a couple in Montreal who were at McGill, because the husband worked with my husband. So that was the only American couple I'd ever met. And I'd learned enough, I guess, by the time I started to see these people come in, I'd learned enough to know when they were probably on the right track and maybe on the wrong track with what they were presenting. So it was interesting to see that. And I got very interested in how you make change, because I was there when we eradicated smallpox. I was in the World Health Organization, as a staff member, a lower level staff member, but still, it was fascinating to hear the stories about how they did it. It was brutal work, very hard work, and each country had their way of doing it. Like Indira Gandhi, she just had the military go in, and at gunpoint, they would round up people in the villages and, vaccinate them. Wow. That was how it was done. There's no choice here.